Too far sunward, sleeper. Serafin turns back in his chair to look at you. I don't like it. It's hard not to agree. The coordinates Junie found have drawn you out of Helion Gate and almost out of the belt completely, into the soft, rubble-strewn transition with the Helion system, to the edge of Conway-controlled space. That's why this ship is likely to be untouched. Junie surveys the wreck coldly. It's too far sunward for belt traffic to run into. And now, with Conway drones patrolling the edge of the belt, it's even less attractive as a salvage site. Lucky us. Junie eyes you, trying to detect if you are being sarcastic or not. I doubt anyone has been here in decades, so actually I would say we are lucky. Any drone signals? Nothing I can see, but I don't dare reach out too far. Serafin flicks a few switches. We should assume they're out there. As you look out of the twisted wreck, you swear you see a red light, blinking between the stars. You exchange a look with Serafin. He has seen it too. Better get to it, sleeper. Serafin begins unclipping from his seat, quickly and quietly. From what I understand, Conway drones run on automatic until they detect something of interest. Junie unclips too. So as long as we are quiet, we don't have to contend with an operator. Just automated search sweeps. What's in your bag anyway, Junie? Like, what's this pink thing? Don't know what that is at all. With no weapons, I'd say we are screwed either way. Eugen shoots you a wink. I'd say better not to be seen. Right, sleeper? He gets up out of the corner seat and glides towards the back of the ship to get suited up. You drift out of your chair and head towards the airlock, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. Being here is a risk, you know that. But you need this ship mine, so no matter what happens, you won't be leaving here empty-handed. Alright. Start with Junie's dice. She can just extract some map data for us and get us set up to go. Tracing the ship mine. An entire section of the ship, fully mapped, is found among the corrupted data. This will help. There are fragments of the ship's layout and the data extracted, but it's a big ship. Alright, well I got a bunch of stuff that's just going to give me full positive results. Some of the ship's network architecture still functions. Accessing map data from it will help you explore the wreck. Let's just keep her going. Got 8 points of stress. That's not too bad. Eugen. You are not really equipped for either of these, but we're going to do a little bit of Gamba. We're not doing any more Gamba. End the cycle. Yeah, losing 2 stress on a 50-50 is not worth it with my luck. Oh god, I hate those ones so much. Oh god, I hate all these dice actually. Alright, Junie, you are literally our best hope. That is terrible. Reroll. That was terrible. Alright. Eugen, just use your 6 on this. It's only a 4, but it's still the best dice we have. This is pain. Like, all of this is pain. Alright, you've located the ship mine cradle. Time to extract it. Junie leads you deep into the wreck, through crushed and twisted corridors, floating panels and wires appearing suddenly in your headlamps like strange sculptures. Just as you begin to tire of the endless dark and the haze of particles washing over your suit, Junie leads you into a chamber where the ceiling is torn open to reveal the stars. In its center lies a cylindrical object, half your height but raised on a complex pedestal, from which countless thick cables snake off into the dark like braided hair. 1 or 2 of them float freely, waving back and forth with glinting, severed ends. Most of them disappear into the floor and walls, or twist and curve out of sight. Beautiful, isn't it? Junie stares at the prime ship mine, the stars reflected in her faceplate. Not bad. Junie glides over to the pedestal, pushing her way delicately through the wires. She takes out her terminal and looks for an access port. She talks, softly, her voice carried through the suit comms. These cables lead off to every one of the ship's systems. Engines, life support, navigation, lighting, networking, you name it. Shipmind has hardwired access to them all. When an old ship like this was running well, the shipmind would distribute itself, some of its protocols running freely in different sections. It would be less like a single governing mind, and more like a load of systems clumped together to form a complex living machine. Think of a plant, rather than a being. A plant with incredibly rapid processing power and a much more accelerated response time than your average tree. You watch as she finds an access port and slips a cable inside, slotting a translucent screen onto the top edge of her deck. Let's see here. Junie's screen fills with bright scrolling data. Incredible. There's so much here. She hits a few keys. I'll start copying this over. It's everything I need. You watch as Junie starts rapidly tapping at her keyboard, her attention sucked into the data she is extracting. I'm just going to wait for her to notice. You wait quietly in the ruined chamber, watching the stars through the ripped roof. You can understand Junie's insatiable curiosity. These wrecks are incredible. Junie suddenly snaps out of her trance. Right, where were we? The ship mine? Let me check. As I thought, she sighs. So, like I was saying, the protocols inside the ship mine are distributed. So, when the ship mine is shut down unexpectedly, the protocols are rarely all contained in this unit. She places a hand gently on the cylinder. As is the case here, parts of it are trapped elsewhere in the ship's systems nodes. She taps a few keys, which is a problem. Where's always a problem? Luckily, Junie turns back to you smiling, you have me. If we rip this thing out now with parts of its protocols elsewhere, it's probably going to destroy itself the moment we turn it on. Doesn't matter that we're going to wipe out the whole thing anyway. It'll be too late. The line inside the ship mine will be broken. But if we find the nodes housing the distributed parts, power them up, and then disconnect them, the protocols will be sent right back into this ship mine here, and we can take it out clean. How do we find the nodes? Either ask the cradle very nicely, or we spend the next cycles following these cables, see where they lead. Well, I've got an incoming signal. Serafin's voice suddenly cuts through on the comms, urgent and nervous. You're lighting up the systems and networks down there, time to stop. You hear a click as Junie disconnects from the cradle, and the two of you exchange nervous looks, instinctively backing off from the ship mine. Suddenly, a faint red light glitters in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. You hold still. The moment stretches out, and you hear Junie's breathing through the comms. The light flashes, pauses, and then fades. You take a breath. Too close. Conway drone, Junie whispers, sniffing the network. We're clear, Serafin chimes in again. Well, I've turned off almost all the rig systems. We need to be careful. Keep network activity to a minimum. Understood, Junie cuts in. But we'll need to access the networks to get the ship mine out quickly. And I hope you're feeling lucky. There's a click as Serafin closes the line. You and Junie look at each other again, and then at the ship mine, encased in its cradle, wrapped in cables. This isn't going to be easy. With our dice rolls especially not. Is it worth me trying anything here? I use my 3, and hopefully it'll get us something good. Okay. The node map of the cradle's connection grows. A little more and you should be able to identify which to isolate. Okay. I'll take it. End the cycle, because we're not doing shit with a bunch of ones. Alright. Junie, just keep hacking that cradle. Hacking the cradle directly will reveal data on the ship mine system, but any network activity is likely to draw attention to the wreck. Alright, and Eugen, just track the cables and see if that finishes this. If you want to keep the network quiet, your only option is to track the physical connections the cradle has with the rest of the ship. It's slow and tedious, but one by one the cables are traced to their destinations. Alright, let's see if I can finish this. I hate you, game, so much. Eugen, fuck it. Just keep tracking the cables. Okay. Junie, finish this and don't stress yourself to fuck. Thank you. Alright. The starboard node. We need engineering. Okay. Is it just the same thing for the second one? Oh, yeah. Okay. We end the cycle and hope more of our dice do not break. Alright, I can work with this. Kind of. Disable that node. Perfect. Now just do it again. This node needs to be disabled precisely and quickly to keep your incursion under wraps. Node been disconnected from the ship mine's cradle. Perfect. Okay. Junie, disable the second node. The node goes quiet, cleanly done. Alright. We're gambling on a 50-50. That hurts. I'm gonna try with the 1. I'm going to stop trying with the 1s. The 1s are not working at all. End the cycle. Give me 1 good dice and we're done. We're out of this. Alright, a 5 will get the job done. It's ready, sleeper. Junie's voice comes quietly through your comms. Look over to her floating beside the cradle, uplit by the pale screen of her deck. She gives you a reassuring nod. You turn to the prime ship mine, now floating above its cradle, the final nodes disconnected and the locks released. You glide over and gently grab it, the worn metal casing gleaming in the dim light. As you do, you feel a strange sensation of something moving around inside, a creature in a box, the weight shifting this way and that under the pressure of your grip. It suddenly dawns on you that Jean-Mi plans to put you inside this strange device, to hold your mind there, while he investigates your body. The thought prompts a shiver. That drone's still sniffing around, sleeper. Serafin's voice crackles on the comms. So, if you have what you need, let's go. You feel Junie's hand fall on your shoulder. Come on, sleeper. Don't overthink it. She pats you gently. There'll be plenty of time for that later. You look up and see a faint red light glittering in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. Time to leave. Alright, let's get the map and get the fuck out of here. Arriving back at the Helion Gate, as lonely and cold as it is, feels like a relief. There's a tension in the rig as you came back out of the inner system, a watchfulness for errant signals and glinting red beacons that choked the conversation. But now, floating in the comforting shadow of this vast ruin, the sense of relief is palpable. S1 prime ship mine, condition unknown retrieved. Serafin runs the engine shutdown protocols as he speaks. I'd mark there as a success. Cut a little close. When? Serafin reaches up and flicks a switch above him. Do we not? Sleeper, can I speak with you? Junie asks from the back of the cockpit. Of course. She leads you out into the passage, tucking herself against the wall. She looks small, even in this compact space. Thank you for taking me with you. I hope I proved I'm trustworthy. I never doubted you, Junie. That's nice to hear. She smiles at the floor. Thank you. In my time here in the belt, I haven't found it easy to make friends. She falters, tripping over her words slightly. But you, sleeper, well, I hope you consider me a friend at least. I would, Junie. She can't help but smile. I'm glad. Then I'd like to ask you something. She pauses. Would you consider taking me with you on the rig? She blurts out. And then before you can answer, I think I'll be of help for your diagnostic, and in the meantime, take a look at the ship mine, make sure it's ready, and... Yes, Junie, you can. She stops, speechless. She looks down at her hands and then back up at you. Okay, she smiles. Thank you, She looks down again. I'll find a bunk. And she quickly glides off down the corridor before you can say anything further. Another strike collected. Serafin puts a hand on your shoulder. What the refuge we're building here? He gives you a sly smile. You don't approve? Serafin shrugs. You know, I've actually started warm to this one. He's alright by me. He smiles and pushes off from your shoulder, gliding towards the engine room. You look towards the bunks, but Junie is already out of sight, likely unpacking already. The ship is getting a little crowded, but you're starting to realize you like it like that. At the very least, she'll prove invaluable when you get to Flotsam and have to deal with John Mee. Perhaps you'll even have a read on the old man. You pause for a second, appreciating the warmth, the hum of the rig and its inhabitants. This ship, you think, is starting to feel like home. It's a good place. I like it. However, I need fuel. I need to get the fuck out of here. Alright. It's going to take way too much work to try and scavenge supply, and we're as likely to lose way more energy than we're going to gain, so I'm just going to get the fuel and get the fuck out. But we can get some Solheim data before we leave. I got a spare dice. Alright, some more Solheim data. Alright. We could go back to Flotsam, or we have some stuff to do down in Greenbelt. So I might as well just head on down there and get that seen too. And then we can restock and resupply our ship. Alright, Greenbelt Depot. Fill my fuel tanks, fill my supplies. Also, I need to go to the rig workshop. I need to repair myself. There we go. I have so many dice that are on like 1 or 2 points. Like, a little bit of stress is really gonna fuck me up like this, but I can't do anything. Depot storage. The depot workers aren't very happy about keeping the spores here for cycles. They won't release them until you pay a handling fee. Alright, that's fine. Arrival tower. Fabricate permission. You don't have permission to get inside Greenbelt, but that won't stop you putting together a fake pass or document asking that you are let in. Put together a pretty convincing facsimile of a letter of invitation from the Greenbelt administrator. Just needs a few more details. Alright, well, I am starving, so let's do this before we do anything that's going to make us lose energy. Let's just try and talk our way in. Our Greenbelt is locked down thanks to fears around Utsubo influence, but perhaps you can convince them you have a reason to head inside. That's just plus stress, but really it's just minus energy. Alright, there we go, a little bit closer to accessing Greenbelt. Alright, that's about all we're getting done today. End the cycle. I kind of want to just try starving myself, if that makes sense. Because, like, I have all my dice are so damaged, I kind of want to take some stress just to try and break them so I can fix them. That's all that really comes to my mind. You managed to glean a little of the look and language of Greenbelt's documentation from the network. Let's try that again. Security reluctantly waves you through. You have access to Greenbelt now. Greenbelt buzzes with focus activity. The passage is full at shift change, then empty once the work begins. It's a place that runs on its own schedule, but comfortably so. That comfort bought by being one of the largest food producers in the belt. There's always work in these fields, protected by a thick skin of transparent layers. You can see why the humble life it offers has captured more than a few of the belt's itinerant workers. Sleeper, The voice, soft but forceful, takes you by surprise. As you turn, you are met with a delicate face wearing a confused expression. Apologies, I mistook you for someone else. She covers her embarrassment with a smile. I'm Aki. What brings you to Greenbelt, friend? Looking for work. Aki nods gently. Let me show you around then. Aki leads you through a series of doors, gliding down into passages cut into the rock, then up, following pipes into metal passages that cross the fields themselves. She stops on a bridge overlooking the soft curve of farmland that makes up one of the asteroid's two biospheres. Below, leaves flap in zero-G, waves spreading out across a sea of green. The varieties we farm here are specially selected and customized for microgravity. She puts her hand on the railing at the edge of the bridge. We feed them from beneath, irrigating and nourishing them through the very medium they grow within. The light of Helion helps us with this, of course. Aki squints through the transparent roof of the distant pale sun. Where are these plants from? Solheim left us many things, including a few seed vaults filled with their own engineered microgravity crops. He turns to face you. Then there are the stacks found across the belt, self-contained microfarms. We have been able to propagate crops from them in some cases. But how about you? Aki's sharp eyes taking your expression. Could you contribute to such a place? A green and growing strip in the Grey Belt? I would like to. Aki smiles. Feel free to take a shift below, anytime you wish. I will tell the others to expect you. Okay. The plants, they have a kind of peace, an eternal quality that makes them seem less fragile than they are. Aki sighs. This place, like any other in the belt, has its pressures. It is for me to navigate them. She looks away, frowning at something in the distance. I must attend to those pressures. Excuse me. I am glad our paths crossed. She bows a shallow bow. I hope they do so again. And with that, Aki leaves you to look over the sea of gently waving green, an impossibly beautiful, impossibly fragile glass case of growing things. Yeah, like one terrible crack, I imagine a whole bunch of this just gets vented into the black. Right, let's do a farm shift. Greenbelt rewards its workers with food and board, and most seem happy to exchange their work for a simple life. Greenbelt is a close-knit community. You have to prove your reliability before Aki will open up. Oh, I get fed for doing this. Well, I guess I'm not doing that whole acquire stress, break my dice thing. Alright, we can say a couple of days here. Let's have my crew working on doing odd jobs. A bit more cryo for our next trip would be good. Alright. Might as well make use of these ones first. Worst comes to worst, I lose 1 energy. What about this glitch dice? Will that help me? The farm shift goes quickly, and you feel yourself settling into the rhythm of the place with ease. Wonderful. We also have the wheat sheaf. Food on Greenbelt is plentiful and fresh, which means most of the workers prefer to eat it raw to get the most from its flavor. We got the raw vegans in space. They made it here. They're here. Okay. $50-50. Let it go. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much from that. There's talk of trouble brewing with Greenbelt's administration. Oh, that's interesting. You have a natural ability with the plants. Aki's voice makes you look up from your work. It is rare. You expect Aki's typical warm smile, but she looks pale, distracted. I have something I want to discuss with you. She leads you out of the biome into the damp rock-cut tunnels that run just under the surface all across Greenbelt. I am sure you've noticed a section of our fields that has been lying fallow, Aki says as she glides through the low tunnel. It's been like this since I took over as administrator here. My predecessor was the one to fail it, and confidence was lost in his vision. She shakes her head. But we have been unable to recover it. No matter the crop, the preparations, nothing will take. Aki leads you through a set of double doors and up into the second biosphere. Immediately, you feel a difference. The air is dry, and a thin, choking dust fills the space. Aki puts out a hand and rubs the dust between her fingers. With its output halved, Greenbelt's under threat, she sighs. Those who wish to control this place are circling. We cannot lose our independence. But I wasn't always in the belt. Aki stares out at the dry landscape. I was born on a moon, Ember's Step, a failed experiment in terraforming from before the collapse. We survived by cultivating the dust. I came here, like many, in the shadow of the war. My ship lost. Aki pauses and takes a moment, the loss still fresh in her mind. But it held the key. Aki looks to you, and perhaps holds it still. She wipes the dust from her fingers. Step silk, a plant that thrives in the dry and the dust. A plant that might thrive here. I have seen your ship, and you have shown me you are to be trusted. I want you to go to the remains of my own, the wind's long shadow, and try to recover anything we might use. A plant, a husk, a seed, anything. It is a desperate step. She frowns and looks away. Where is the ship? The wind's long shadow lies wrecked beyond the sunward edge of the belt, beyond Helion Gate. Aki pauses. I do not know what remains. My crew and I were lucky to escape. Greenbelt has reserves of cryo for moments like these. We will pay you for the retrieval, of course, depending on what you are able to retrieve. Aki sighs. This is our final recourse. I hope I will not be judged as harshly as my predecessor. Come, Aki turns. Let us go back to where the green things grow. She smiles. It is a better place to consider the future together. And Aki leads you away from the barren biosphere, the doors scissoring shut behind you. Alright, we got a new contract. I'll purchase one more supply. So we have to go back to the Helion Gate, which this works for us because of Darkside being there and the irradiated remains of Hexport there, we can't actually go directly back to Farspindle. We have to cut through Helion Gate first. Alright, let's make use of our dice and try and scavenge up some fuel. You might say I'm a fool for attempting this. Oh god, that's not good. I think that's enough to get us. It'll definitely get us to our contract. Would that get us back to Farspindle? It would. We only need 4 to get back to Farspindle. That's good. Okay. Aki Administrator at Greenbelt has asked for you to recover the remains of the steppe silk crop from the refugee ship she arrived at the belt in. Alright, let's give her a go. I'm gonna take Bliss and Eugen for this. I've done this job before. I don't think I particularly need interface, but I might be wrong. We'll just confirm this crew and head on. The wind's long shadow floats, broken open at the sunward edge of the belt. One of the refugee ships that made the fraught journey out to the belt from the inner system before the war truly took hold. The wind's long shadow is a monument now, and a warning to any other vessel that might stray sunward. Bliss whistles. Ready pile of scrap. They move closer to the cockpit glass. Are we really expecting to find the remains of a plant and all of that? It is hard to imagine that this cold, dead place might hold some key to the future of a settlement as verdant as Greenbelt. That is why you are here. Steppe silk husks, that's what Aki said. The crops she brought from her home, carried out with the refugees. If there's anything left, it'll be your job to continue its journey from this place. This is no salvage job, sleeper. Serafin gets up from his cockpit seat. You need to be delicate. The more of those things we can get out, the more Aki will pay. Not to be totally mercenary, Serafin winks at you. I mean, the more we get out, the better chance it has on taking to the biosphere as well. You look out at the wreck, shrouded in debris. Delicate, right. Time to put that to the test. Alright, crop processing. Engineer and engage. Bliss, you're killing me, Bliss. Okay, I think you two just do absolutely nothing today. You can try on this. We'll see what the stress payment is. Nope. Alright, let's see what I can do with this. Systematically cutting open the base to find husk is safer. By following the markings on the base, it's possible to make selective cuts and search more efficiently. Systematically cutting open the base to find husk is safer and smarter, but slower than tearing them open. So, alright. The split in the ship has revealed layers of bays and machines for processing step silk. Breaking them open might reveal forgotten husks. Identifying the kinds of machines means figuring out which bays need to be broken open to find husks. Finding step silk husks left behind in the processing bays will take care, patience, and a little luck. But the bays are leaking atmosphere, and your search is making it worse. If you lose it all, any husk will be destroyed. I mean, we got some pretty good shots here with this. Okay. We're done for the day now. And the cycle, because our dice are crap. Okay. This is good. I have good crew dice this time. Alright, Bliss, get to cutting open that bay. Do it again. And then this should finish this. Search is complete. Nothing else to find here. We did find a step silk husk. The broken dust house. Okay. We're gonna have Eugen clear the dust house. It's full of dirt and shrapnel. Clearing it might unearth some husks, might also destroy them. And I'm going to do a sector search. Sifting through the clouds of dirt sector by sector is the safest way to uncover any husks that might have survived. Dead husks and dry dirt make the search tedious, but progress is being made. Want to try the 50-50? Not particularly. End the cycle. Alright. Eugen, it's clearing the dust house. Alright, that's fine. Do it again. There we go. Search is complete, nothing left, nothing else to find here. Alright, into the storage vault. There are a lot of containers to search. Scanning for organic material will help, but the debris is still an issue. That's a lot of stress for no good reason. Oh, we're gonna use these 6s. They'll help. The scanning process is becoming more and more efficient as it goes on. Perfect. I need efficiency right now. All right. Bliss. Try just searching. Right then, Captain. The ship's vault is full of sealed containers that might hold a protected step silk husk. It's also full of dangerous debris. Ah. Yep. Yep. Back to the rig and the cycle. Alright. Let's see what we can do now. Scan for a husk. Scan for another husk. The search is complete, nothing else to find here. If the wreck wasn't dead before, now scoured of the final husks of life, which surely must be. As Serafin starts up the drive, you give the wind's long shadow a final look in its resting place. It's hard to feel sad about another chunk of scrap orbiting in a system that is made of nothing but the scrap of past regimes. The people who lived on and built this ship, those people are worth a moment of memory. Think of them as you prepare to leave and hope that they, like Aki, have been carried on to new lives beyond the desperation of escape. And those that didn't get out, you hope you're passing through this place and not disturb them. So, a fun fact, the Wind's Long Shadow, this is the second time we've seen it. It actually is part of the refugee flotilla in the DLC of the first game. Aki was the representative and leader of that part of the refugee flotilla. I recently went back and played the DLC for the first Citizen Sleeper, and I recognized Aki when I was back in that game. Like, wait a minute, I know you from the second game. You're part of the DLC? So yeah, that was a fun thing to realize. And return to the Helion Gate. So we need... Oh. You have to see this, Sleeper. Junie comes to find you in the rig, her face flushed with excitement. At first I didn't believe it. Junie can't help herself while she leads you through the ship. There are mentions occasionally. I've always understood them to be references to something smaller, a system or unit, not an entire facility, even a series of facilities. You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig, a corner with a sloped ceiling used for storage. So I checked other records, tried to find correlations, and, well, there they were. You see Junie approaching a server stack she has set up in the corner, her deck plugged in and floating nearby. It would have been faster with the core from the first derelict, she continues at speed. What we got from the derelict near Helion Gate, able to make do. She looks very pleased with herself. It's really quite something, to confirm a rumor like this. I surprised myself. She turns to you, a slightly manic look in her eyes. What are you talking about? Sleeper, please, it'd be easy if you would just listen. They refer to them as bunkers. Junie shifts to her deck, floating on the end of a thick connecting cable. They were a form of self-surveillance for Solheim, a way of monitoring their own systems and employees securely. They were hidden, mostly automated, linked into the network by arrays, intended for vast amounts of data capture, to be poured over by a small staff. Junie taps a few keys on her deck. Most were understood to have been purged in the collapse, shut down, depressurized, even sent on collision trajectories of their bodies. He pauses. I suspect that last one is a little too far-fetched. I've heard people deny they even exist, that we are misreading the data, that the evidence doesn't hold. Junie turns the deck screen to face you. But I found one! You see a map, a set of coordinates on the sunward side of Holmes Rock, the edge of the belt. Why are these bunkers so important? We're talking masses of records from the collapse, the kind lost to bit rot everywhere else in the belt. The bunkers are what they sound like, closed facilities intended to preserve data. Any one of these bunkers is a gold mine. Junie pauses, at least from a data archaeologist's perspective. She sees your reaction. And, Junie adds, hoping to convince you, in truth, we don't know what else is in there. There could be Solheim tech, blueprints, data never before seen in the belt. We should take a look. I'll give Serafin the details. She smiles. We could be making history here. You leave Junie in the storage bay, working obsessively through the data. It's hard to know through all the excitement what the real value of one of these bunker facilities might be. They are as well hidden as Junie said. Must be a reason. When there's time, you hope to find out what that reason is. Alright. What do we need to get done here? We need fuel to go back to Greenbelt. If I get back to Greenbelt, I can restock on supply there. I think I need 7 to get back to Greenbelt. That'll be enough. And let's see if I can get some data. Alright. Know what? I'll take it. To the Greenbelt we go. You bring the steppe silk husks you gathered from the wind's long shadow to Aki, and she is as pleased as you would expect. Meet her on the bridge overlooking green fields, the Greenbelt workers quietly toiling below, while the air recycler's wind gently rustles the leaves of the crops. Sleeper, Aki holds the husks to her chest. Thank you. These are a new beginning for us. Aki pauses, knitting her brow. How was she, the wind's long shadow? She must have been beautiful once. Aki smiles. She truly was. She looks down. Until they killed her. Aki sighs and looks out at the Greenbelt field. Everyone must die in the end. The belt makes wrecks of us all. She looks back to you. But what you have brought me? This is new life. Give us time. You'll need to clear and reseed the other biosphere. Aki bows. I hope you will return to us when the work is done. She presses a handful of chits into your hand. Thank you. She meets your eye. You watch her carry the husks gently away, glowing with the promise of fresh growth. Alright, let's get a resupply while we're here. We got 300 cryo for that, so we're doing pretty good on cryo. Let's order some food at the Wheat Chief. Just like that, we are fully hungered, we are fully stocked. The weave is being rebuilt. Aki is working to integrate the steppe silk into the biome, shoring up Greenbelt. You should come back when she is done. Alright, well, there are plenty more places in the belt we gotta get going to. We can't get to Scatter Yards or Hollow yet, and definitely not Darkside. But, jump back to Helion Gate, and then off to Flotsam. Can we get all the way to Flotsam with this? Actually, no, we have to drop off the spores at Nemba's, so we'll just stop at Farspindle along the way. Packed spores from the inner systems in damaged-looking crates. Nemba's place is busy as ever. You are sure he'll be happy to finally get his spores. You remembered us. Nemba appears at the loading dock, slate in hand, as you load the crate into the back of the kitchen. I am a little surprised. You look at the chef. He looks tired, though his sharp eyes haven't dulled in the time between your meetings. Hey, I'm happy to surprise you, Nemba. Well, I'm not that surprised. He smiles, but it's a pleasant feeling. Nemba glides over to a crate to take a look. He squints at the crumbled corners and bent lids. Not in great condition, though. How long have these been bouncing around in your hold? They were like that already. Now that I can believe. Didn't bother to bring them to the right station, after all. I have a place picked out in one of the bays to cultivate them. Warm, damp, near the air recyclers. He pushes one of the crates gently into the kitchen. Shouldn't take long before we have mushrooms to cook. You follow Nemba into the kitchen, remembering your shifts working here. They were long, but the company was good, and as with all things, the difficulties have faded with time, leaving a golden sheen behind. Nemba seems to catch the way you're looking at the kitchen. Much the same as before, I'm sure you noticed, but twice as oversubscribed. Each cycle, more refugees come out of the inner system. The war isn't going anywhere. Nemba pushes the crate into a storage rack and pulls netting across it. They disperse across the belt, of course, but many don't make it much further than the overhang, especially if they can't work. It's not just food either. We need blankets, housing. Nemba suddenly pauses and shoots you a look over his glasses. Tell me, how was Greenbelt? It was quite green. Helpful, Nemba raises an eyebrow. I heard it was organized as a cooperative, all the workers sharing in the trade of their goods, but no chits exchanged, only resources for the colony. Nemba watches you closely. Well, I had to pay Cryo for the spores. Well, they can't all be saints, he smiles. I'm sorry for that. I mentioned it because, well, it might be the kind of place to offer aid to the people here, Nemba sighs. I regret being mercenary, but waiting for benevolent helpers doesn't work. Apart from present exceptions, of course. I can speak to them. It's worth a shot. Nemba looks you in the eye, but you need their trust first. Earn that, then talk. You have the feeling Nemba was waiting for your suggestion. Here, he takes one of the crates of spores. I'm sure they could use these. Take them as a gift. He pushes it to you. But don't begin with the spores. Begin by understanding what they need from you. Trust me. You have a feeling Nemba is good at getting what he wants. Meanwhile, I have meal prep to begin. He takes a deep breath. Thank you for the spores. Really. I will keep asking for help. You have to forgive me for that. He smiles. Doesn't mean I don't understand what you are giving. Now, get out of here. Nemba waves you away with your crate of packed spores, his expression somehow both withering and encouraging at the same time. What can I do to make some money? Or do anything here? Not that one. Alright, stock up the fuel tanks. And the signal station I could probably get some work at. Yes, I can. Oh no, my energy. Level what I do. Right, I'm gonna stay starving. Because if I'm just gonna be like jumping from station to station, it's not a bad decision. I'm hoping it'll break some of my damage dice. So that way I can repair them. Alright. Let's just get some work done here. And a lot of raw scrap. Man. I want bad rolls, but they're not happening. Glitch dice. Get me some stress. There we go, finally. Alright, let's go to Jean-Mi's booth and get ourselves diagnosed. Jean-Mi has promised to run diagnostics on your changing body, but needs a ship mine to house your emulation while he works. Jean-Mi warmly smiles at the ship mine as you place it on his counter. A beautiful find, sleeper. Come, let's get you inside. Jean-Mi swings open the creaking, corroded door beside his booth. Such a prize must have levied a heavy cost. You glance beside you to Junie, who insisted she came along, and on not letting the prime ship mine out of her sight. Your friend too, yes, yes, please come in. Jean-Mi beckons, and then turns back and disappears inside. Junie squints at you. Are you sure you trust this one? I don't have a choice. She sighs. I suppose not. Lead on then. You both squeeze through the door and drift down to the workshop. You are aware of Junie's eyes wandering across the piles and piles of tech on either side. You wonder if she recognizes anything among the junk. Sit, sit, sleeper. Jean-Mi is already at the chair, arranging his array of articulated arms. I'll take that ship mine, if you please. Yeah, hand it over. He's the only person who can do this. You hold the ship mine in front of you and give it a small push so it floats gently over to Jean-Mi. He grasps it with both hands and takes it to a neat little work table in the back you didn't see before, where thick cables float lazily tethered to the wall. You slide into the chair, hooking your feet behind the bottom bar to hold yourself in place, and watch as Jean-Mi begins connecting up the prime ship mine. A tremble of nervousness runs along your arms. Suddenly you feel Junie's hand clasped around your own. You look over into her face. Is this okay? I want you to know I'm here. Thanks, Junie. She nods silently. Jean-Mi, Junie calls across the room. You're going to need to talk us through what you are about to do. Of course, of course. Jean-Mi is slotting an arm-thick cable into the ship mine. A little patience, please. All this is very technical. He turns to face you both. What is your friend's name, Sleeper? Junie. Junie answers for you. And I can tell that you're using a Solheim-built data cradle, modified to handle a prime ship mine. She rattles off at speed, which will work as long as you manage the data flow through a polymer-clad overflow cable looped into the asynchronous Cortex cache. What writer got paid to write that? There's a whole bunch of words. Yes, Jean-Mi eyes her, a small smile crossing his lips. As I said, technical. What will happen to me? Jean-Mi refocuses on you. It depends, he says, while preparing the far end of that thick cable. What you are referring to as me. The problem we have is with your frame, your body. Atypical alterations, biosynthetic recoding, unusual growth. Jean-Mi shakes his head. From the diagrammatics I have, these are not typical of frames, even those that have been rebooted as you have. In order to investigate safely, I must transplant your emulation. In basic terms, you're mine, but in reality not so basic. He smiles in an attempt to reassurance. Your emulation is an emulation of a human, and a human mind cannot be separated from its sensorium. The mind-body paradigm has been long disproved. Cognition has physical basis. So I must first distribute the emulation between your hardware and the prime ship mine. The hardware will co-run the emulation, like the two lobes of a brain. He puts his hands together as if in prayer, and then slowly separates them. The motion makes you feel sick. Then, for a short period, I will disconnect the two. In those moments, you will, in a sense, be in two places at once, though each lobe will be partial. Too long in this state, the two partial emulations would decay, but each disconnect will allow me a short period of full access to your entire frame and its base system's language. I hope this is understandable. Jean-Mi gives you a serious look. One of the most curiously human aspects of sleep and experience is that you, too, do not inherently understand or conceive of the systems that allow your existence. What are the risks? Jean-Mi pauses, considering his words. The risks are many and severe. Emulation collapse is chief amongst them. This would be terminal. But counter to this, I do not believe that changes to your frame are in a positive direction. Jean-Mi clasps his hands. The greatest risk is to do nothing. We have little choice but to proceed. Now, before I connect to your frame, let us activate the ship mine. Jean-Mi gestures to Junie. Please, if you would like to come with me and oversee the process, I would be pleased. Junie shoots you a reassuring glance, and then glides over to the ship mine, obscuring your view of it. You hear quiet conversation between the two of them, their silhouettes lit by the flickering screen light of scrolling lines of code. You take a calming breath, but are instantly aware of how superfluous the action is when your frame requires no oxygen at all to function. There's a certain sensation that accompanies such thoughts. A jarring disconnection, like when descending a staircase, your foot expects a step and finds void instead. You try to calm the growing anxiety as Junie and Jean-Mi assess the mind. The ship mine is pristine. Junie turns back and drifts towards you. Our care in this extraction seems to have paid off. Junie smiles. This is good news. Junie is indeed right. You have done well. Jean-Mi approaches. I am, however, seeing only minor traces of the protocol the ship mine was designed to house, the one that ran the ship it was installed in. I would expect to see it in full. He angles his head and lifts his shoulders in a slow shrug. But protocols are not easy to track. In the end, it only saves us a step of extracting it from the mine. Instead, I simply wipe the traces. Jean-Mi stops beside you. A protocol, Jean-Mi adds, is not like an emulation. like your emulation, has no integral physical element. It is data only, and therefore could be anywhere in that ship. In the end, its absence does not concern me. It concerns me. I understand, Sleeper, but it is remarkable we have this ship mine at all. This is our opportunity. John Mee lifts the far end of the thick cable you saw earlier. You know this is the end that will connect to the port on the back of your head. Junie settles beside you again. She gives you a silent look. It's time. You turn to one side to allow access to the port, your eyes fixed on the far wall. You see something among the piled tech there that you hadn't noticed before. A small metal skull-like head, like that of a doll. You frown trying to focus on the head, and then the cable connects. You are split like a cell dividing, wrenched in two directions at once. The world goes dark and the cloud rushes in to fill the gap at your center. What happened? You ask a question in your mind, and you feel it travel across the gap as it forms, like a finger drawn across your scalp from ear to ear. But not scalp. You have no scalp, no head. You are stretched out like the skin of a drum, looped like the string of a noose. The smallest vibration echoes across yourself like a ripple across a puddle. And then you feel it. A strong pulse, like a heartbeat, like thunder, like footsteps, a flickering, a trembling, a thought coming into being. The thought flickers in front of you, and you recognize that it is not your own. A cyst. Disintegrate, the thought answers. You fold up in blankness. Then a moment after you unfold, like waking. Apparition, to appear. Dwelling in dwell, the thought answers. You stretch into infinitude. Then, a moment after, you contract, like waking. In still, to flow inside. Substrate, the thought answers. Then it approaches. Then it enters. Then it is yours. You split. Then the moment after you reform, like waking. And in the cracks that seal up, for a moment in those cracks, something glows. Sleeper, I'm here. Your eyes flick open like shutters. Junie's face is close, her eyes wide. They're awake, she calls over your head. She looks back at you. Easy now, take it slow. You twist, floating, turning your head as if you were underwater, feeling the resistance of a body you had already forgotten. How long has it been? You feel a weight you haven't felt in... You're okay, Sleeper. Tell us you're there. Junie leans in close. I'm okay. Junie smiles. They're okay, she calls to Jean-Mi. I am glad to hear that, you hear Jean-Mi's voice, and he comes into focus. The process was successful. Jean-Mi floats beside the chair, his hands clasped in a business-like fashion. I was able to access the frame directly without your emulation being present. I ran the administrator-level diagnostic processes built into its system and received the results. He takes a moment to gather himself. Your frame is indeed changing. The protein chains that code your biosynthetic organ group cells replacements have been altered. To put it simply, your body is following a new set of instructions. Didn't the reboot do that? No. The reboot and recoding you underwent simply stopped those protein chains from artificially decaying, breaking your dependence on stabilizer. This process. The entire replacement of your protein chains could only have been achieved over multiple doses of a specialized substance as part of a carefully planned process of total substitution. That word sticks in your mind. Substitution. You say it without thinking. Yes, Jean-Mi reacts if you were speaking to him. I believe it could only have been achieved with one substance as the carrier. Stabilizer. Stabilizer. The drug Essenarp designed to make you dependent on them. The drug Laine fed you to keep you alive. The drug you thought you had escaped. My stabilizer was laced with something. That is what I believe. Jean-Mi looks apologetic. This kind of process, Jean-Mi hesitates now. You realize the bad news is yet to come. Performed over many, many doses, carefully planned and designed. I cannot think of a way it can be reversed. Jean-Mi looks down. I can say that you are changing. I can tell you how it was achieved. I can neither stop it nor tell you its ultimate end. I am sorry. I understand. I'm sorry, Sleeper. Junie struggles to find words. Perhaps we can find someone else, or... She falters. Try again. You don't feel able to respond. You quietly push yourself away from the chair, your thoughts slow to cohere. You glide back to the door and then out, into the flow of Flotsam, the noise and activity passing by you like smoke. In the haze you find that word again, substitute, and begin to wonder what exactly it is that you are becoming. Serafin once more finds you in your bunk. He gently prods you with questions, and you quickly relent. You explain what John Mee said, about your suspicions regarding Laine, and your confusion as to his motivation. You tell him you don't know what this will mean for you in the future. He listens, and when he is done listening, you both sit and wait for the moment to pass. And then you leave the rig, each on your own errands, each knowing that the only option is to keep going until you are forced to stop.